Thanks, Mike. Boy, this is just so great so far. I'm having the time of my life tonight.
Well, so is Brian Voss.
Oh, he really looked sharp. Ozio bowled tremendous. I felt sorry for Brian Himmler because he was so nervous. But Ozio bowled great, and the key shot in the 9th frame when Brian tripped to 4, when he got a little soft, that was the match right there.
Well, we'll see how this match goes now. 2 more experienced players.
Well, I don't think anybody knows Ernie Schlegel's game any more than you do, John. You've seen him bowl for a long time back in the New York area.
And Voss just keeps throwing strikes. He's had 1 spare in 2 games.
He really is sharp, Mike. Ernie, I know Ernie since I'm 14 years old, so I've been watching him bowl 35 years. And
you're 49, John?
Almost.
Senior Tour's coming up, John. It's just around the corner.
Oh, he's already got it mapped out. He's figured out how he can win in 5 decades and 2 millennium. He'll explain that to you.
Here we go. First look at Ernie Schlegel.
Boy, he didn't want to let that one go, did he?
No, Ernie feeling it a little bit. It's been since 1989 since Ernie has bowled on a telecast, and I think everybody feels it a little bit, John, if you hadn't been there for a while.
Earl, do you also think that maybe when somebody throws, say, something like 23 strikes and 24 shots, that you get a little nervous, knowing that you can't miss?
I doubt it. I doubt it. Do you? You really think so? I don't think so. I think Ernie's been around long enough to play his own game.
We see why they call him Iron Man Ernie. 741 total events, beating Salvino, who bowled, it seemed like, for 60 years.
That's
for Tragley, a 636.
Well, I've only been around 40 years.
You're not even 50 yet. Ernie, 230 average. Well, back in it now.
Ernie has, when we get a chance to look at his footwork a little bit, John, maybe you can explain why he does what he does, but I've noticed Ernie does this. He's always done this. Kind of drags his right foot. He'll step out with the left, drag the right. Step out with the left, drag the right. Have you noticed that?
Yes, and in the early days, he actually used to drag it completely on the very first step. He's actually gotten a lot better at that.
Amazing. Well, this guy doesn't drag anything. He just keeps throwing strikes.
Well, that was the shot. He didn't trip it. Or he didn't trip it now. He did in the 9th frame of the last game.
That's when it counted the most. We're going to take a look at the style here, John, of Brian Voss. Can you see what you'd like to talk about here?
Well, I always felt that Brian's game was pretty much flawless. I think that maybe lane 4 is starting to dip a little bit, and 2 shots in a row he's going high. I'm sorry, he's starting to hook a little bit more in the back end than lane 3.
Dip. I never heard that expression before.
It's a New York expression. It's dip.
Got to be from the east for that one, Earl.
All right. Well, dip means it's hooking more?
Yeah, it dips hard in the back end, the same as flips hard in the back end. But, you know, from New York, you don't like to use too many syllables, so we just used it.
Is that when you say jeet yet and stuff like that?
Right.
No, you.
All right, Ernie's still in the match. Brian gave him a little reprieve there.
No trouble with lane 3. Well, Schlegel got a chance to get back in the match.
This is it right now. This is, even though it's early, Ernie has to show that he's into this thing and put a little pressure on Voss, or he's just going to take off and hide again.
I agree.
Well, we see Ernie had the only 300 this week, right?
Yes, the only one.
He also had a 299 game.
In the same block. Same 8-game block. Look at the concentration. Ernie really into this. Oh, hold it again.
Too fast, too fast, too fast.
As Ernie is mic'd, and we got an idea what he's saying. He's
talking about his footwork, right, John?
Talking about his footwork. He knows that when his feet get fast, he then yanks his swing through and causing it to go high.
Always been a great spare shooter, though, Ernie Schlegel.
Well, you're not going to beat Brian Voss with spares, though.
Well, not today, that's for sure. I think Ernie's going to get it going here. I think Brian's going to have his hands full before this one's over.
No trouble on lane 3 for either player. Right now, nobody has struck this game on lane 4.
You know, Ernie also, you know, he's talking to himself. He's talking so we can hear him, but that relaxes him a little bit to say it out loud. That makes him feel a little more comfortable.
He's moved deeper about 2 boards just now.
He hasn't got much more room to move.
Well, you threw it harder also.
Trips the 4 again.
You know, I mentioned earlier,
And it's CFA football this Thursday, November 9th, 8 o'clock. It's a Southwest Conference battle. The Aggies of Texas A&M taking on the Rice Owls in Houston, Texas, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock on the coast.
Excuse me, Michael. Didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was going to say to John, I mentioned earlier that Brian Voss, I said, you know, $100,000 for a 300 game. He says, well, that just means I got 4 shots at it tonight.
Oh,
there's confidence.
That's confidence. I think next game's going to be very interesting because Randy said to me just a minute ago that everybody seems to be in, and when he was throwing practice, he found something throwing it real hard from out. I don't know if he's going to stay there or not, but if he does, it could be a very interesting last game.
But he struggled a little bit, I thought, in practice, John, as I watched him. I mean, Randy, you know, throws a lot of strikes, and he wasn't throwing that many, but I saw it.
Maybe they're breaking down faster than he anticipated.
He will get some practice shots.
And he has a way of figuring out as he's 5-0 from the top spot.
I watched the position round game last night. Ernie Schlegel against Randy Peterson for the lead, the tournament lead. And Ernie was leading going into that game. And Ernie bowled a pretty good game. Missed a spare, shot 256. That's not bad. Lost by 23 pins.
We asked Ernie if he thought he could win again. His response.
When you're throwing atom bombs against toothpicks and you start to understand how the inner technology of the bowling ball is to get to the pocket against some light pins, yeah, I think I could win again. And maybe more than just this time.
More than just this time? It really sounds like he's shaking in his boots, doesn't he?
He's planning on winning this one. That's what he's saying, right?
Well, one more and he evens the match.
Well, I think Brian's got all he wants here.
Well,
no! Damn! Inside, I told you to get it right.
Well, he's really upset because that was his good lane. He didn't want to go high on lane 3. He knew that.
Well, you could see it from behind that he was
Right.
definitely left of target all the way. And for Ernie, who's extremely accurate, you know, he doesn't miss too much.
When he does, though, he generally misses left. Don't you agree, John?
Well,
And he missed a spare. Well, Ernie Schlegel, you don't see that happen very often. Right now, his daughter and wife, Catherine, look on. They're not happy. He's not happy. We'll be back after this. There's in between frames there.
yeah, there was, but I think this is crunch time right here. When somebody misses a spare like that, the champions usually come back with a double and really try to stick you in the ground.
Well, there's one stick.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Brian Voss, he's having a wonderful night. This match a long way from over, though, I feel. And Ernie missed an easy spare, gave Brian Voss a hammer here, but 4 frames to play.
Long way to go. Ernie can certainly pull himself back and get 226 out of this. And he's got to mentally get in it. That's Ernie's whole game, has always been mental.
Voss trying to increase it to 33. And does. So when you say that his game is mental, what do you mean by that, John?
Well, Ernie has never really been all that much affected by lane conditions. He doesn't throw a lot of ball. His game is pretty basic and simple. Ernie falls into good rhythms or out of rhythms, and most of it comes from his head, how mental he is within himself. When he has a lot of confidence, Ernie can strike all day long. But he gets distracted easily. As he gets back into it now, he might hit solid off the sheet. If he can forget that 4th pin and get involved, he'll strike out. I don't think he'll worry about what Voss is going to do right now.
You know him as well as anybody. Will he forget that frame, or will it bother him?
He's still talking to himself, so he hasn't forgotten it completely. I think he would have to get by this strike and have the double, and then he'll be back in.
I agree.